Now, what I'm going to do when I bring my puppy in a minute is actually, I'm just going to feed for hanging out around here. And I know that sounds a little bit basic, but actually one thing that we want in our sports puppies, day one, literally from the first instalment for you, is we want an optimistic dog. But you know what? An optimistic dog also makes having a pet dog so much easier. So whether you're going to do sports like we do, or whether you're going to have a happy family pet, you know what? For me, the goal is optimism. You know what? It all marries together really nicely. It all comes together really nicely because our dogs are fantastic pets, but equally they're able to perform at the top in sports. So for me, this is really cool stuff. So when I'm talking novelty, what I'd like to see really, or the best response I'd like to see, is that nothing is a problem. That actually they see it and they're like, cool, got this is amazing. I don't want them to see it and go, wow, let's go crazy. And equally, I don't want them to see it and sort of back off and worry. But if they do either of those are things we can handle. Remember, there's a game for that. And absolutely, those are the things we tackle as we go. So we're going to see what we get. Hopefully, what I'm looking for is a puppy who's kind of inquisitive, but not OTT. If they are OTT, then I might slow them down. If they're worried, then again, I'm just going to take more time and maybe change it up. When you're looking at what you can use at home, use cardboard, use anything you're going to throw out. Amazon's become a big friend of mine. Use bath mats, use bags and things that make noises and flap and bins and things like that. The only thing to be careful of is obviously not to leave your dog with any of these things unsupervised. So we are going to recommend that you are very careful about what you allow your dog to play and practice and rehearse in. This isn't a session they just come into and do alone. I'm doing it with them. It's part of Ditch the Bowl. So this is some of the food they're going to get in a day, and it's partly ditch the routine. Yes, they're going to see different things. Don't set it up and visit it once a week. This should change every time you see it. So this should never look the same as this again. You don't need to recreate this look. This is going to look different every time you see them. So this will look completely different every time you come back to the dog. You're not going to have it like this again. So that's really, really vital, that you keep mixing it up. You keep ditching the routine, because the whole point of novelty is it is novel. So we want it to look different. So I'm going to go ahead and get a puppy. I'm going to start letting him come and investigate this. I might just observe him for a minute, or I may be talking to you in training. It depends on how it goes. And the puppy I'm going to work with, I think for this one will be Tokyo. And the reason I'm going to pick Tokyo for this is I think that actually being a bit more thoughtful, this would be an interesting exercise for him. Okay, so what I've done is I've popped a few pieces of Tokyo's dinner on the floor, and I've actually really given him a few opportunities to get some more food. So this one I think he might find a bit interesting. I've put a few on that one, and I've given him some around these areas. I'm not going to ask him to do anything in particular other than investigate. So that's all I'm looking to see, is he happy to investigate. I'm actually really happy with that, because he straight away dived in there. He hasn't gone for the easy pickings, he's gone straight away for those that are a bit deeper and a bit further in. The other thing you can do is, if they're not looking at you, start to throw bits into places where he isn't necessarily gonna sort of check out on his own. So I think that's quite nice. And I tend to do that when they're not looking. So I tend to pop things in other places when they're not looking. I tend to not do it when they're staring at me, because I don't want him thinking I'm the thing he should be looking at. I actually want him to be looking at all the interesting sort of things around him and taking them all in his stride, I suppose. So my big goal is that he takes all of this into his own little world. It's a great place to be. It's a great thing for him to observe, and yet nothing should be too much and nothing should be too scary. So I'm really happy with that. He's putting his feet on new surfaces. He's happy to explore. This is a pretty optimistic little chap here.